guys who do movie reviews. My name is On The Brinket, and oh my gosh guys, finally, 13 years we've been waiting for this movie, and now Avatar: The Way of Water has finally arrived. The sequel to the highest grossing film of all time has finally arrived, and this movie is once again directed by James Cameron, and this movie stars the return of Sam Worthington, Saldaña, Stephen Lang, Sigourney Weaver, with Cliff Curtis and Kate Winslet, and of course, this is going to be a non-spoiler review. I'm not going to spoil any elements from Avatar: The Way of Water. You're safe with me. These are just my official thoughts on the movie, so you guys are absolutely safe with me. Finally, this movie's here. We've been waiting so long for this movie. Man, I cannot believe the sequel to Avatar is here. And how is the movie? Well, let's find out. Jake Sully lives with his newfound family formed on the extrasolar moon Pandora. Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with Neytiri and the new army of the Na'vi race to protect their home and their family. Now, before we get to my review of Avatar: The Way of Water, of course, what do I think of the highest grossing film of all time, Avatar? Now, this movie came out in 2009. I was 9 years old when this movie came out. And this is the first movie that absolutely blew me away. It's a movie that I've always loved still to this day. This is one of those movies that I was so immersed in ever since I was 9 years old. And ever since, I love the movie more and more times I've seen it. Yes, a lot of people find Avatar very overrated. Some people didn't like the story of the first Avatar movie, and that's understandable. It's a story that we've seen many times before, but I cared for the story because I care about the world of Pandora. I care about the characters. I care about Jake Sully. I care about Neytiri. I cared about the villain. I cared about every single character in that film, because even though the story is cliched, it's still a world that you want to be in, and you still like the characters in the film. So, I did see the first Avatar in Restoration 4K and IMAX 3D, and man, it makes me more excited for this movie. Avatar: The Way of Water, 13 years. I am 22. The first Avatar came out when I was 9. God, this makes me feel so freaking old. We've been waiting so long for a sequel to Avatar for a while, and we thought it's never going to get released. Now, 2022, Avatar: The Way of Water has finally arrived. I was so pumped for this movie. The trailers of the movie really impressed me. Of course, the visuals look absolutely stunning from the trailer. Even the behind the scenes, I get more immersed and interested in the film. Now, here we are. The movie is here. I saw this movie in IMAX 3D. The best place to see this movie, by the way. So, here it is. What do I think of Avatar: The Way of Water? Is this movie worth that 13-year wait? All I gotta say is that James Cameron, you've done it. You've frickin' done it. Because Avatar: The Way of Water is absolutely worth that 13-year wait. Because I find Avatar: The Way of Water frickin' epic. I loved this film. Now, here's an unpopular opinion for Avatar: The Way of Water. I think this is better than the first one. I love the first one. I'm still gonna love the first one. But Avatar: The Way of Water did some things that I think did better. And this is coming from the director that is the king of great sequels. From Terminator 2 Judgment Day and Aliens. 2 great sequels. And now we have third time's the charm with Avatar: The Way of Water. Of course, let's talk about the positives of the film. The characters. I loved every single character in this movie. Jake Sully, once again played by Sam Worthington, is fantastic in the film. He definitely plays a much different role than he was in the first movie. He plays a dad in this movie, and he plays his dad character very freaking well in this film. You still love Sam Worthington. He has that likable charm that Jake Sully has in the first movie. But definitely he plays a much different role in the film because he just wants to protect these kids. And Sam Worthington's performance is fantastic in the film. Saldaña returning as Neytiri. Man, she is fantastic in this film. There's so many powerful moments in this film where I'm just like, Saldaña, seriously. she is now in competition with Angela Bassett for Best Supporting Actress because she is fantastic in this film as Neytiri. But the funny thing about Avatar: The Way of Water is that Jake and Neytiri aren't really the main characters in the film. They're basically supporting characters because the kids in this film, Jake and Neytiri's kids in the film, are definitely the main focus of this film, which is really surprising for me, and honestly, it completely works in this film. Of course, we have standouts. One of them is Luwak, played by Brenton Dalton. He is fantastic in the film. Technically, he is the main character of this film. Now, I'm not going to spoil his character in the film because it wasn't shown much in the trailers, but he plays a character that we really feel very sympathetic for because he's the middle child of the family. He wants to prove to the world, and I think Brenton Dalton's performance as Luwak is really great in this film. I really do like Luwak's character in this film from start to finish. I think he's a good main character in the film, and you really root for this kid, and I thought the performance by Brenton Dalton, he does a great job as this character. Also, Sigourney Weaver as Kiri. Now, when I first heard that Sigourney Weaver was going to play a teenager in this film, I'm just like, okay, why are they casting her? This movie has a huge reason why they're casting Sigourney Weaver back as this role of Kiri. Well, not coming back, obviously. She played Grace in the first movie and she died, so she plays a whole new character. But I would say Kiri is definitely one of the most interesting characters in this movie. I don't want to spoil her character because her character is definitely one of the most interesting aspects of this film. Her character is very interesting, and Sigourney Weaver playing this role, I thought she does a great job. Even though, a little nitpick, you do notice it is Sigourney Weaver's voice in a teenage body. They really try to pitch up her voice to make her sound like a teenager, but she does sound like Sigourney Weaver. But you know what? Kiri's character is very interesting in the film. I didn't even care. I think Sigourney Weaver does a great performance in this film, and Kiri, I cannot wait to see her more in this Avatar universe because her character is very interesting in this film. That's basically what I can describe. Her character is interesting without spoiling it. Also, there is a guy named Spider in this film, played by Jack Champion. I think he also does a great job in the film. Another character that I find very interesting in this film. He's one of those characters that you don't know where he is going, and he asks a lot of questions about his character. And I think Jack Champion does a great performance in this film as well. I really do like Spider as a character in the film. But the rest of the kids also does a good performance in the film. Jamie Flatters as Neytiri, Trinity Jolie Bless as Took, Bailey Bass as Tesserae. I thought all the kids in the film does a great performance in the film, and especially that they look like they had a blast making this film with the motion capture work because they look like they had a blast making this film. Now, I'm not going to consider that as a spoiler because we all knew this is coming, so I'm just going to explain really quickly. Stephen Yang returning as Colonel Miles Corge in the film. He's in an avatar body in this film. I'm not going to explain why because you need to watch the film to find out, but I gotta say, he is absolutely a menacing villain. I think he does a great job in this film. I think he was better in the first Avatar, but when he is on screen, I felt so immersed with this villain. He is so menacing, he is terrifying at the same time, and Stephen Lang, once again, does a great job reprising the role of a really good villain in the first Avatar movie, and I think he does a great job reprising his role once again. Now, of course, we cannot talk about Avatar, even this movie, without talking about the thing that makes Avatar, and this movie especially, fantastic. The motion capture visual effects. 13 years. Like I said, 13 years. And you can tell why that this movie came out in 13 years. Seriously, how can the rest of the movies top of how great these visual effects are? Especially the water sequences in this film. Oh my god. Especially that we heard that they're doing motion capture underwater. James Cameron invented this new camera to capture motion capture in the water. It is one of the most impressive things that I have seen this year. The water sequences, the whole visual effects in general, look flawless. It looks fantastic in the film. It looks so immersive. You're immersive in this new water world of Pandora. And it's just so great to be back in Pandora once again. It's so great being back in this world because I love the world in the first movie. And I love that this movie expands. And I cannot wait to see the rest of this franchise, seeing more worlds of Pandora. Because man, after this movie, I am so in. The creature designs, the look of this world looks fantastic, and my god, the visual effects of this movie is so flawless. It looks real, looks fantastic. I think it's some of the best visual effects I have seen all year. Seriously, if this movie doesn't win best visual effects in the Oscars, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. This is some of the best visual effects I have seen in a movie in a long time. Especially I saw this movie in IMAX 3D, and my god, the 3D of this movie, that's where you need to see this movie. IMAX 3D. The 3D, I don't normally like 3D in movies, but I gotta say, this is some of the best 3D that I have seen in a long freaking time. And another thing, this is what's surprising about this movie as well. I didn't notice this until I got into this movie. This movie is filmed on a high frame rate. Yes, there are sequences in the film that you notice that it's filmed in high frame rate. Now, normally I don't like high frame rate in movies. You know, The Hobbit didn't do that well. Gemini Man especially doesn't do it well. But I gotta say, for Avatar Way of Water, I think the high frame rate was really good in the film. Some people could be mixed by this. I think the high frame rate was good. Even though that it's mostly 80% of the movie does have high frame rate, it does changes to normal frame rate and high frame rate. You do notice that a lot in this film, but it didn't bother me because they put the high frame rate aspects at the right time. And I just gotta say, I just felt so immersed in this movie. From this new world of Pandora, the new water world, the new clan, and just the characters in the movie you really root for. Also, the action in this movie is fantastic. This movie absolutely has some of the best third acts I have ever seen this year. The action sequences are fantastic in this film. It's filmed very, very well. It is epic, but this movie is also powerful. There are so many emotional elements in this film that I feel like they paid it off better than the first Avatar movie. From the performances alone, there are so many powerful moments in this film that I was literally tearing up throughout the film. It was so executed well, and I just gotta give praise to James Cameron for that. Also, the score in this movie. Now, James Horner, from the first movie, he composed the first movie, unfortunately passed away, so we got a new composer in this film. I did still like the score in this film. It is still beautiful. It's so immersive. They bring back some of the scores from the first Avatar movie, but also they bring up some new scores in the film, and I thought the new scores absolutely paid off in this film. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, here's the thing that made Avatar people saying it's so overrated. The story. Now, how's the story in Way of Water? If you're not fans of the story of the first Avatar movie, I don't think it will make too much of a difference in this movie. But since I love the story of the first Avatar, I love the story of Avatar The Way of Water even more. Because I think the message of this film is much better than it was in the first Avatar movie. Even though the first Avatar movie has a good story, it is pretty cliche, I gotta admit. This movie does have some aspects of the first Avatar, of course, learning about this new clan, this new world of Pandora, the water world. But at the same time, this movie has a message about family. This is a movie about a mother and father to do what it takes to protect their family. And I like stories like that. I like stories about family. You know, A Quiet Place did that very well. That's what John Krasinski is aiming for. I can see that also for this film. You love this family and you root for them to be safe. You don't want each single family member dying in this film because you like this family in the film. And I think the message about family in this film is flawless. It's the best part of the movie. It's one of the best story aspects of the film. And I just think the story of this film is good. I still think it's very good. I think it's better than the first one. The story that I root for, I was immersed at. I think the story of this film is really easy to root for. It's a story that I've seen many times before, but I thought it's done really freaking well in Avatar The Way of Water. And think about it. There are great movies that copy other movies. So that's all I'm going to say for the first Avatar and this movie. But that's just my opinion anyway. I do love the story in Avatar The Way of Water. I find the story so immersive in the film. Does this film have problems? Yes, it does have its flaws. I would say it's more of nitpicks, really. Now, this movie is definitely longer than the first Avatar movie. This movie is 3 hours and 15 minutes long. And like the Batman, I didn't feel the runtime. This movie, I did at a couple of moments. Not saying this movie's boring. It's absolutely not boring. This movie is so easy to follow and so easy to be immersive in. But I would say that you can really feel the runtime of this movie. So I would say go to the most comfortable seats possible because you're in for a long ride. The story of this movie is fantastic, but you can definitely feel the runtime that this movie does feel very, very long. But like I said, it's a nitpick. It's not a flaw, it's a nitpick. I still love this movie, no matter how long it is. But I would say also, there are some characters in Avatar The Way of Water that I wish could have been explored a lot more. And maybe it's because they're going to explore more in the other movies, so it's a nitpick. But like Cliff Curtis and Kate Winslet in the film, they don't have too much to do in this movie, and I wish their characters could have been explored a lot more. But the performances by them are fantastic in this film. I just wish their characters could have been explored more because I do like their characters also in this film, especially Kate Winslet. Her performance in this film is great as well. Like, it's unbelievable that she held 7 minutes underwater. Like, she topped Tom Cruise basically. It's really impressive. And yes, like I said before, the story is nothing original and new. It's more of the world and the characters are original, but the story, yeah, we've seen stories like this many times before, but I still follow the story, I still root for the characters, but this is just for people who aren't fans of the first Avatar. If you're not fans of the first Avatar, like I said, this film wouldn't make any difference for you. Some people could say you like it better than the first Avatar, that's impressive, but I feel like this movie does have elements from the first Avatar that it copies out a little bit, but you know what? I was invested in the first Avatar, and this movie, I was more invested. So, after this movie, I cannot wait to see what James Cameron does with the other movies. And hopefully this movie does well, because I heard that James Cameron said that if this movie doesn't do well, he's just going to do the third movie. That's what I've heard, and hopefully not. I would love to see the other 3 movies in this franchise, because, man, overall, Avatar: The Way of Water is absolutely worth that 13-long wait. This movie is epic, it's fantastic, the characters of the film is great, the action is great, the visual effects absolutely stunning in this movie. The story from start to finish, even though this film, you can feel the pacing, how long the film is, the story takes its time, and I thought the story was absolutely fantastic of the film. The message of family really works in this film. The direction that James Cameron does with the film is fantastic. See Avatar: The Way of Water absolutely on the biggest screen possible, especially in 3D. This movie is worth your time, and oh my gosh, this movie feels like a holiday basically. You're going on a trip to Pandora once again, and you just love this new world. The water sequences are absolutely incredible in the movie. Man, Avatar: The Way of Water definitely exceeded my expectations in every way, because absolutely, I'm going to give Avatar: The Way of Water an A. So guys, finally this movie is here. So, that is my review for Avatar: The Way of Water. Let me know what you think of this movie in the comments below. Do you like the movie, hate the movie, or you thought it's okay? And do you think this movie is better than the first one? Let me know that also in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below. Facebook, Stardust, Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd. Keep contact with me. And make sure you guys subscribe to my channel notified for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.